No worries. So, we have been doing some analyses uh, around HIV and homelessness, and we are unfortunately seeing a large increase in new HIV diagnoses among people experiencing homelessness. So in 2022, 184 people, representing 13% of all people diagnosed with HIV that year, were experiencing homelessness. And that's compared to 4% back in 2012. So this is another, rapidly rising statistic that's a big concern for us as a community. Also, the kind of breakdown of who's in that group is a little bit different than what we see in LA County overall. So for this group, 20% were cisgender women compared to 10% of the overall LA County population of people diagnosed with HIV. 11% were transgender women compared to 4% for HIV diagnoses in LA County overall. Meth use was very common, with more than 34% reporting methamphetamine use. And 54% of these diagnoses occurred in a hospital setting. And I will say that Los Angeles General is such an important partner. When we look at the diagnoses in hospitals, that medical center plays such an important role in helping us diagnose and treat these folks. But we point this out about the hospital diagnosis because, really HIV diagnosis should and could be happening in like a primary care setting or even in non-traditional settings, testing events. We have a lot of storefronts and specialized programs set up to do HIV testing at health fairs and the other types of events where we have testers set up. And, when somebody's diagnosed in the hospital, that's usually in the context of they are either really sick, and so their HIV has, taken a toll on their body. They've probably been living with HIV for many, many years and should have been diagnosed way sooner. Or it's because it's somebody who's not really touching the healthcare system anywhere else but the hospital setting and the emergency department. And so those are just kind of signals to us about, how the healthcare system is and is not meeting the needs of these populations.
Dr.
Oh, and
Cohen,
oh, yes, go ahead.
I have a quick question for you that just raised to me. Do we have a sense of maybe how many, or a speculation as to how many undiagnosed individuals there might be? Because it sounds like if you're living comfortably with HIV in your system, you may not know.
Exactly. We have estimates. CDC has created an algorithm that our surveillance team uses, and I know I can say off the top of my head that part of that algorithm is an estimate about the number of HIV acquisitions or transmissions that are occurring in a year. So like we know how many people are diagnosed in a year because we get that data, but we don't know how many people are acquiring HIV in a year. But the estimate is that it's about the same amount of people. So we have about 1,400 new diagnoses a year. And the algorithm seems to calculate that we probably have around 1,400 new acquisitions in a year as well. So, but that it's an estimate, and it, the number can be less and can be a little bit more as well. So I think I would have to look up the number of how many people are living with undiagnosed HIV. We do have estimates for that, and I can get that to you when I'm done with
But
the
it's
talk.
interesting, just as a ballpark, the group you're speaking to, we're all community members. We're not,
Yes.
we're not medical staff. So just an estimate of like maybe an equal number of our people that are undiagnosed as to those that we get diagnosed every year. That's a really interesting,
Yes.
comparative.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it's kind of like we want to get ahead of that rather than sort of be,
So I think
lagging.
encouraging testing in those populations
Encouraging testing
are
is
super
key.
important.
Yes. And I did want to just let folks know that I, not only am I very close partners with, the medical providers and teams at LA General, but I did my fellowship there. There's an HIV fellowship that's really amazing that I did at LA General. I was a resident at Harbor, and then I came up to Los Angeles General for my HIV fellowship. And then I continue to do clinical practice there at Rand Schrader Clinic.
Yeah.
So, I really, I'm been a county medical provider my whole time living in LA. And I really feel very lucky that I get to bridge both the DHS and the DPH systems and, kind of help in terms of the collaboration across those parts.
And is there anything in
Okay.
particular about your time at Rand Schrader in terms of that particular population? Because that's obviously the population of our community. Are there any particular notes about that particular population as opposed to the larger county numbers?
Well, just I guess there's a few observations I can say.
Mhm.
One is that what I was addressing before about the being diagnosed in the hospital. So part of the fellowship is that we do call into the emergency department 24/7 for the emergency room providers. When they're diagnosing somebody with HIV, they would call the HIV fellows, and I think they still do that. And so, with that learning experience, I mean, I met so many folks who, were coming through the system for the first time, finding out for the first time that they had HIV, and unfortunately finding out at the same time that they also had AIDS, because, that was sort of one of the triggers for getting the diagnosis that they had, suspicion for what's called an opportunistic infection. They had been living with HIV for at least about 5 years. It often takes about 5 to 10 years of living with HIV, untreated in your body before it really has taken a toll on your immune system and made you vulnerable to, life-threatening opportunistic infections. And so folks come in really, really sick, you know, you know, and if they don't get the interventions and the like high quality care that they get at the Los Angeles General Emergency Department at that moment, they could die from these infections. And so they're not only finding out that they have these, very serious, often brain infections, lung infections, but that they also have HIV and that they also qualify as now as having an AIDS diagnosis. Um, and then the other, and I would also describe, sometimes we would get to meet people in the emergency department who were just new to LA. And they didn't necessarily have, such severe diagnoses at the time, but LA General is also where folks, like, their first stop, they get truly, literally get off the bus, downtown, coming from out of state, or, of course, LA is such a destination for people internationally across the country, and they come straight to the emergency room at LA General because they want to plug into HIV care now that they're here. And, this is kind of where they heard they could go. And so I would just meet so many folks new to the city, that way. And that was sort of an interesting experience. And then
Yeah,
lastly,
that's a very interesting note. We
yes,
love hearing those kinds of stories because that does definitely resonate, I'd say, with how we perceive LA General as being this hub and this really, this really center of excellent care in the community that reaches out across
yes.
not just LA County, but beyond. So thank you
Yes,
for
it
the
really
story.
does. Yeah. And then the last thing I was just going to say is that, certainly a lot of, um, also at Rand Schrader, we do have a lot of folks who are, primary Spanish speakers, um, up until more recently with the, Medi-Cal expansion, folks who didn't have access to health insurance except for through the DHS system. Um, and so that's sort of a little bit unique to Rand Schrader and DHS overall than to the, LA County overall. But we do have the Ryan White program, which is the other safety net medical coverage system available to folks who don't have or can't afford other health insurance options. So those are available for folks at community-based healthcare organizations, to cover folks for their HIV care. So basically, nobody with an HIV diagnosis should ever fear the cost of healthcare as an issue, because especially in California, across the country, the Ryan White program is a federal program that covers for healthcare needs for people with HIV, including the medications, which are very expensive if anyone ever had to pay for them out of pocket, which no one ever should. But also just the primary care costs and other special programs. There's a lot available in LA County. And so that concern about getting that diagnosis and the costs associated, that, you know, we try to as quickly as possible, like alleviate that and say, that's actually not an issue. We've got you covered. And we'll be plugging you into all those programs to assist.
Yeah. Well,
So
thank you
just
so
go,
much. And I
yeah,
apologize for kind of taking us on a sidetrack. I know we do have
no.
to conclude your segment a little, like, pretty quickly, Dr. Cohen.
Okay, I
I
will go
appreciate all the
very quick.
information.
Yes. So just the evolving public health role, increased need of intensive, like locating, specialized investigation and trauma-informed care, especially for folks who are experiencing homelessness. We want to find them and get them the care and treatment they need. But often it's really hard to find somebody who doesn't have a phone, doesn't have an address. So we do a lot of specialized investigation. We do a lot of collaborating with community-based organizations. And we do have a lot of services now that we're, you know, bringing to the streets when needed, so that we're kind of doing treatment and services outside the walls of a clinic or a hospital, because that seems to be making a really big impact using that street medicine model. Because expecting patients to come to us, that doesn't work. So we're trying to do things differently. Working really closely with social workers and becoming much more familiar with the housing system and housing providers and collaborating with them. Just quickly, I'll just run through like the evolution of the you know, HIV and STD prevention toolbox. Just a few things I want folks to know about. Undetectable equals untransmittable. That means that when somebody's on HIV treatment and the treatment works for them, you know, their viral load becomes undetectable. That means that they cannot pass HIV to somebody else during sex. So once somebody's in care and on treatment, you know, they can have like a very healthy sex life, relationships. A lot of these campaigns that are national and international try to celebrate that if you're living with HIV and you're on treatment, you won't pass HIV to your partners, your sexual partners through sex. And, you know, and as I said, the medications are really great these days, very few side effects. We even have long-acting injectable medication, so you don't even have to take a pill every day. But, you know, we can prevent HIV in this way, and also with PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. So people who are HIV negative have multiple options of medications that they could take that would protect them from acquiring HIV if they were exposed. So there's a daily oral pill option, and there's actually 2 different formulations that are available. There's something called 211 or on-demand PrEP, where you just take the medication right before and for 2 days after a sexual experience. And then we also have a long-acting injectable PrEP option as well, that's every other month. This just briefly touches on how we're not meeting the populations that we think would benefit from being on PrEP and getting access to these medications. So that's an area of focus, is, you know, sort of targeting outreach to certain populations that we see are underrepresented in the PrEP prescriptions and coverage across the county. And then for STDs, this is really, really new for us, and we're trying to get the word out about this. It's called DoxyPEP, and it's new evidence that taking like a very common, inexpensive antibiotic called doxycycline, it's sort of like the morning after pill, but for STDs. You take it within 24 to 72 hours after sex, 2 pills, and that's it. And it reduces your risk of acquiring syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia by about 60%. So especially when it comes to congenital syphilis and our efforts there, this is really like could be a real big game changer for us if we can get this out to the community more, so that we can prevent the spread of syphilis in particular. So this is kind of the end of my talk. A lot has changed in the world of HIV and STDs. And, you know, I hope that my talk really helped, you know, kind of touch on some of those core elements to the crises of both syphilis and HIV in LA County. And, you know, I'm really happy to be able to answer any questions or be available to folks. Also, when I'm off, when it's on to the next person, I'm going to drop a few links in the chat to some of the health district reports that I shared, but you're welcome to email me and reach out anytime.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cohen, for your time today. There was one question in the chat. I do have to pivot our presentation to Jorge Roscoe, but if you would be so kind as to possibly respond to the question in the chat about the differential in exposure rates, that would be fantastic. So
Sure.
really appreciate your time today, and thank you for that really illuminating talk of kind of where we are in these areas. The crises are not entirely behind us, I'm so sorry to say. Well, with that, I am delighted to welcome Jorge Roscoe, our CEO, to walk us through some of the happenings on our campus.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm very pleased to be here. It's always exciting to be part of HICP, such an important group to provide direction to our medical center and our campus development efforts around here. Just want to share a few updates. Very proud of Sebastian Cota, who was born and raised in Southeast LA, was a former volunteer here at LA General. You know, the food insecurity and the environmental injustices that he grew up with in LA County inspired him to volunteer here and to pursue a career in public health. So he recently was awarded the 2023 Williams Hutchins Health Equity Award from the CDC. And so we're very proud of Sebastian's work that he's doing, and proud to be a part of mentoring and providing opportunities for individuals in our community. Next slide, please. Just a few of the holiday events that happened here. Lots happening. We had a burn survivor party. This is an opportunity for our staff to stay connected with the community of patients who have suffered burns and their families. And it was a wonderful event. Many sponsors, the fire department, the sheriff's department, Children's Burn Foundation, Elisa and Rook Burn Foundation, our volunteer department, our CARES Auxiliary, our College of Nursing, USC, medical students, and Panda Express. So thank you so much for making this a really special event. On December 14th, we had the ceremony of the unclaimed dead. And this is an annual event that honors those individuals who have passed away a few years ago. So this year we had over 1,900 individuals who were buried, who passed away in the year 2020 at the height of the pandemic. This is an event where Supervisor Solis, Supervisor Han were there, and it's a non-denominational interfaith burial ceremony, and it really is meant to honor those individuals, even though they didn't have family who claimed them or friends who claimed them, to be buried in a respectful, honoring way. The community posada was a wonderful event, December 15th. Thank you so much, our wellness center. We had over 900 attendees. Santa was there, 500 toys distributed, 700 meals to the community. It really was a wonderful event, and thank you all who participated and helped with this event. Let's see. Also, our CARES Holiday Giving program adopted 388 families and provided them with special meals and gifts for the kids. So special thanks to our care staff, our social work department, our transportation department, our paint and sign shop, Go Green, Allied Security, and Servaton. Next. A couple weeks ago, we had a press conference here at the lobby of the historic General Hospital, and Governor Gavin Newsom, along with Supervisor Solis and Mayor Karen Bass, were here to kick off a campaign for Proposition 1. And Proposition 1 is meant to expand access to thousands of Californians to help them from suffering their mental health conditions. And it's so it was a great event covered by all the press, and this is an important event and was held at the General Hospital because funding for housing for individuals with mental illness will be supported by this proposition. So as we look to repurpose the historic General Hospital, that will certainly be an important, iconic step forward in terms of housing. And then finally, just wanted to announce that the College of Nursing and Allied Health, which is on our campus, is starting a Central Services Tech Training Program. And this is a 6-week certification training designed to provide individuals with the skills needed to work in sterile processing departments. And this is important for us because we want to create pipelines for individuals within our community. And, you know, getting a county job is not an easy endeavor. And anytime we're able to provide programs, and this is a program that doesn't have prerequisites. You don't have to be a college grad. And I think many individuals could use this as an entry point into the county, also into healthcare. And so I wanted to share this with you all, and please spread the word. There's an application that's due soon. But this program will be ongoing, and so we're very excited and happy to sponsor this. And with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Jorge. Do we have any questions for Jorge about what's going on the Medical Center campus at this time of year?
Thank you, Jorge, and thank you for hanging in there with us earlier today. I know you have a lot of meetings, but really appreciating your time today. And thank you for highlighting all of our December events, but in particular, the opportunities that are arising here on the campus for jobs and future opportunities, and particularly, you know, life-sustaining careers, right? That's what we're looking for. And so thank you for continuing to champion those.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, with that, I guess we'll say thank you again, Jorge. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you back in February. With that, we're excited to move on to some really wonderful updates and presentations from our partners who are championing the housing projects on and around our campus. We will hear updates from Cynthia Mejia, related to National Core and the Las Dahlias project, from Kelly LoBianco from the Department of Economic Opportunity alongside Prime Store, and then ending up with a presentation by Century. So with that, I'll invite Cynthia. I think you have a very short announcement. Is that correct?
Thank you for allowing me to present just a quick update on Las Dahlias today. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, great. The development continues under construction. It's been years in the making, and of course, we appreciate everyone here with your input early on, your support. And really at this stage of the construction process, we're gearing up for completion at the end of February. So kind of just finishing up the kind of last details of the project. We will be seeing, and one of the components of the community benefit agreement that we have was incorporating a local art piece in the development. So fronting 3rd Street, there will be a mural by local artist Stephanie Mercado, and that mural will be starting installation next week. So it's going to take about a week for that to go up, and it was a very inclusive process in terms of creating the design for that mural, selecting the artist, circulating the RFP. So again, it's also been years in the making. But the biggest announcement we have today is the application, the leasing application for the project is currently open. So the pre-application process is currently accepting applications from residents interested in leasing a unit on site. And that window will close next Wednesday at 5 p.m. I will go ahead and drop the flyers in the chat so that you can help us circulate the word. We've contacted organizations that we've worked with in the area over the past several years, and schools and churches. So we're again trying to spread the word far and wide, and would love any support we can get from all of you. But again, that process will close out on Wednesday at 5 p.m. We do have office hours at the East LA Library today from 4 to 6, and several of our partners are also hosting office hours. That information will be available in the flyer, but yeah, just really excited to be at this stage in the process and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Cynthia. The flyer is in the chat, as Cynthia mentions. Please encourage those that are interested in getting on the list for those apartments available at the Affordable Housing Complex Las Dalias at 3rd and Dangler. Please encourage people to go ahead and fill that form out. If people are having trouble with the technology, they're welcome to also come by the Wellness Center that is helping people fill out that application form. So thank you so much, Cynthia. All right, with that, we're delighted to welcome our colleagues from the Department of Economic Opportunity to share with us some updates about the wonderful Centennial Project. Welcome, Kelly.
Heather, before we do, I saw Guadalupe's hand up.
No, I just wanted to, before we ended the segment with Cynthia, just to emphasize that I just want to thank the Wellness Center, Alma Family Services, and our East LA Women's Center, for their help, because they are also providing office hours to help folks apply for those much needed units. And again, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for that reminder, Guadalupe. We are, we want to make sure that people can apply by any means possible. And so there's evening hours, and there's just opportunity for people to access technology as has been shared. So please reach out to us if you have any questions. I'm sorry for that interruption.
No worries, Rosa.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. We got to set up the conference room, so I'm just making sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly LoBianco, and I'm the director of the LA County Department of Economic Opportunity. You've seen me come to the HICP for the last couple of months talking about the Centennial Project, the General Hospital and West Campus. And we are here today because we've had a big milestone. We're really, really happy that as of December 19th, of 2023, we came before the board and were authorized to enter into an exclusive negotiating agreement with our developer team, Prime Store. And many of you, I think we had over 100 comments from participants in the audience of that Board of Supervisors meeting. Many faces from the HICP were present and sharing your stories and your vision for the campus and the project. And we're very, very grateful for you all and continuing to show up for the project and share what you hope for. And because of that, like we said at the last HICP meeting, the next one after that authorization for the ENA meant that we were going to bring our developer team here to meet you directly. So we've got Prime Store with us today. We have Arturo and Leandro and their team. So they're going to spend a little bit of time introducing themselves to you all. talking about their approach and their work and our path forward together. So again, this is a really, really exciting moment. I'm so grateful for all of your leadership and participation as the HICP. You've helped make this happen, and very excited to introduce you to our team. So I'm going to pass first to Arturo.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you, HICP partners, for everything. I am we're traveling remote and super, super excited to embark on this journey with all of you. As you can imagine, being an LA firm, started 32 years ago with the Prime Store flag. We can think of no project that would be more emblematic of impact than working with community side by side, hand in hand. So very, very excited to embark on this journey with all of our colleagues at the Centennial Partner team, who have been incredibly passionate and committed to embarking in the process of getting to this point, which we call the beginning, where really it's the beginning of dialogue with the community and with a long process of community outreach and engagement of what it is that we do and how do we bring a project forward that it meets the needs and the demands of the current population and the future of the neighborhood and the community. We'd like to share with you a very brief video that I think describes a lot about what it is that we do, what our approach is, and really what is the center of our philosophy as a company. Leandro, my partner, will also be here speaking with all of you, and we've been best friends, brothers, and partners for all of those years, and very humbled to be here with you and play that for us.
Gracias, Arturo. Hello, HICP. What an incredible pleasure it is to be here. What an honor and what an incredible responsibility that we have to make sure that we are always doing the very best we can, transparently and honestly, for this community that we love. As Arturo mentioned, we're going to do a brief video that Heather or Rosa, did you guys want to put that on?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
Prime Store.
Shall we continue, Leandro?
Please.
Okay, very good.
Is a community with a mission to create impact, change, and opportunity for people who have less access to resources.
You are tangibly changing people's lives through the vehicle of real estate development.
Prime Store has always been a beacon for how to develop in community.
You can build a community in a village when everyone can work cohesively with each other. And that's what Prime Store is all about.
Prime Store empezó en 1991. No hacíamos development. Era nada más property management. And then it became development on the heels of the civil unrest of '92. There was a lot of sadness, a lot of pain in the neighborhood, a lot of struggle. I thought, maybe arrogantly, that we could make a difference.
Developing properties in a very intentional, sensitive, and as we say in Spanish, with cariño. That's how we can almost create a canvas where people can feel like they are reflected off of the beauty, and then they can have their aspirations and thrive themselves.
People have written down these communities, and Prime Store hasn't done that.
This is a company with heart. This is a company that has passion for the community it serves.
For us, profit is equality, diversity, social justice, economic development, economic empowerment, homeownership, hope, pride.
We are trying to forge a new paradigm where we're really trying to create new ways of doing mixed income, mixed use housing.
Our projects have a significantly higher level of amenities, community benefits, beautification concepts, local hire initiatives, murals, art, and programming that is geared towards creating community.
No other developer out there is really looking at it from a community perspective, and no one's really looking at it the way Prime Store does.
For you to make real change, every element of the ladder has to make a return. A social return, a financial return. It has to help build society from a tax basis. It has to provide a service. It has to provide a physical built environment change.
Our mission is to ensure that there is self-representation in everything that we do.
We're finally starting to see the shift in building our cities from within for the people that are there.
Every time I drive by Pacoima Plaza, I just smile because the paradigm shifts that Prime Store created in a part of the valley that really was forgotten.
Because you have that kind of influence in a community that represents saving lives, man.
After 30 years of creating a company dedicated to empowering underserved communities, and after 30 years of beginning to understand what it all means, we want to take the next 30 years and amplify our voice to do this on an even greater scale. Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, that always touches me because there's such a lifetime of experiences of trying to do the best we can, all for very personal reasons. Arturo and I have the blessing of both being immigrants to the United States, and we've been, as Arturo mentioned, best friends since I was 12 years old, which was not recently. And, you know, when we started the company the summer after the civil unrest, our first project was in South Los Angeles to rebuild a property that had burned to the ground. And our very, very first project that summer was working with LA County on a Head Start program for kids. 32 plus years later, we're still working on public-private partnership projects with community empowerment dedicated to what Arturo and I believe in, which is always being honest, always being transparent, always living by your values. And those commitments and values from us, you know, we are absolutely committed to making sure that this project, this process is enriched by community engagement, as we say, on a perpetual level. There is not one part of the project that will not be informed, educated, and inspired by community input at all stages and even after it's open. We're committed to transparency, honesty, and doing the very best that we can. We're committed to local representation, local hiring, local job sourcing, local entrepreneurialism, and really making sure that the community is empowered by the opportunity that is presented before us. More than anything, we are committed heart and soul to this community and this project. We understand and respect the incredible responsibility and opportunity that this has been given to us. And our commitment is to do the very, very best we can using our history and our passion to do the best for our communities that we know and love. With that said, this is, Arturo said, this is the beginning. Es el principio del camino. And we are committed to being a part of the HICP meetings at every single one. I personally, as president and co-founder of the company, will be directly involved with my partner, Claudia Cardenas, who's in the room with us, who's also been with the company. My goodness, she won't let me say how many years, but almost 30 years. We are dedicated to really listening, learning, and then reflecting what we learn and what we find to make sure that the process is meaningful and holistic and open. We're privileged. We're very, very lucky. So we do want to just take this moment to say thank you. And we're looking forward to the many years ahead as partners.
Gracias.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your time today and look forward to deepening this relationship and conversation over the months ahead. Are you able to entertain some questions at this time? I know your time is somewhat limited. Oh, thank you so much. Do we have any questions or comments to share with our colleagues from Prime Store?
As folks think through that, I just want to thank you all on behalf of Health Innovation Community Partnership for your commitment to community and community engagement. Thank you for sharing, so much of your history with us at this first meeting. And what we really value in Health Innovation Community Partnership is the opportunity to engage and to have active, equitable conversations, right? So these meetings, different than maybe many of our public meetings in public domains are meant to be more interactive. And so we appreciate that you have a team here and that you're committing to coming to regular meetings. As you can see, there's a diversity of topics on these meetings. And so it'll be helpful to kind of have a sense of what is most of interest to our community. And so for our Health Innovation Community Partnership, this is again a long time coming. You'll all recall that in December, the Board of Supervisors approved this opportunity of us engaging with Prime Store and Centennial Partners for the next 18 months as we reimagine the space of what is this healthy village, this building behind me, plus the rest of our campus leading toward mission. And so there's so much history, but there's also so much current opportunity and hope. There is a lot of vulnerable patients and community that surround us. And so it's such an important time to have you be at the table with us, really, thinking through how we reimagine together. So thank you again for being here. Kelly, thank you for your department's shepherding this through and having such a different approach to how we engage in this process, because one of the things we always hear from community is the difficulty navigating bureaucracy. And so our hope over the past years since 2017 that we launched the Health Innovation Partnership is to make everything so much more accessible and understandable for community, so that it isn't about a one and done, but it's about a real relationship over time. So thank you everyone for being a part of that opportunity and contribution that we're making to making this healthy village come to fruition. I don't know if anyone from SD1 has anything to share. I know you all have been, at the helm of really leading the supervisor's vision on this, and just any thoughts that you all have. I don't see any hands raised. And so I'm wondering if folks are, just like taking it in, you took the video in. Gilbert will tell you from Century that over time, we end up getting a lot more questions, as folks become familiar with our partnership. But yeah, a lot going on. And Gilbert will be talking about his PSH partnership. Again, sort of the heart of this is community benefits, and what is it that we can do to ensure that our community really has a place at the table and really sees the opportunity for benefit and for growth and for economic prosperity, right, along with what's happening on the campus. And I know our leadership here at LA General is very committed to that and the experience overall. And so, yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm not sure if we have someone from SD1 or anyone else who would like to share a little bit of what you could talk about, just questions. You can talk about your hopes as a partner here at Health Innovation Community Partnership. We are here to listen and to engage with you. So
I see he has a hand raised, and
yeah,
followed by
Kimberly.
Please ask your question.
Great.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Kimberly, and I live in the East Side, close to the General Hospital. And I wanted to meet y'all. It was nice to hear from you, and thank you for the introduction. I do have some questions. I guess I do want to start kind of getting to know you, and just kind of understand, like, maybe what kind of is there like a particular housing project that you've done that you can share with us? And I know that you shared that something about it including mixed use rates, or doing developments with mixed use rates. Like maybe what kind of percentages did you include in that project, or what are you looking forward for this project? Because it is a big housing project with a lot of tenants in the surrounding area seeking for affordable housing, really, really bad. So I just kind of wanted to get to know what kind of past projects you've done.
Thank you for the opportunity of the question, Ms. Alvarez. So most recently, we have been involved in the Jordan Downs redevelopment, frankly, for the last 16 or 17 years now, being a part of the development team, providing over 1,700 affordable housing units. Currently, we're under construction on 180 units of permanent supportive housing at the corner of Vermont and Manchester. Also members of the company, Delilah Sotelo, who is the partner in charge of the residential division, had put together the Aliso Village project, along with over 2,000 units throughout Los Angeles. And that's just a couple members here at Prime Store. We have never in 32 years focused on luxury units. We have always focused on low income, underserved and underprivileged communities. For the General Hospital project, our intent is to provide the full spectrum of services, including wraparound services, ideally between, at a minimum, 600 units with, at the minimum, 25% restricted housing, targeting low and very low income members of the population. So that is our primary focus. At the same time, much of what we do is informed by the community's aspirations and needs as a key stakeholder. We never come to the table saying this is what it's going to be. We simply come to the table with minimums and commitments, and then together we'll work through what the appropriate percentages are desired to be.
Yeah, if I can add something, Leandro, and I think using Rosa Soto's analogy of having a seat at the table, for us at Prime Store, the community is the table. So there is no concept under which we have a preconceived notion of what the project is going to have, unit count, unit mix that will be driven by the many, many community meetings that will be had consistently and constantly. The idea is to deliver projects that serve the community as the community sees itself, as the community is able to convey its needs, and also is able to share what its dreams and visions are for the future of its own community. And so providing that range of housing will be the result of the feedback we get from folks like yourself asking the question, and anybody else that is participant. What you have from us is the aggressive and transparent commitment to be at all meetings, to be at the table, to take the feedback and provide back sort of examples and perspective of what we heard from all of you, and then enter into that dialogue about what is the highest and best use for any particular aspect of the property.
Thank you. Let's go to Jason. I did see your hand up. Do you want to wait?
Yes, I'll wait. Yeah, I wanted to wait till everyone was able to ask questions, so we didn't switch the topic. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Francisco, how are you? Good morning. You're cold.
Yes, I am. Good morning. It's cold in San Marino. So I looked a little bit into Prime Store, and most of your developments contain a large proportion of corporate tenancies. To be frank, they're retail shopping centers mostly. There has been skepticism by the community about those type of tenancies, which are beneficial to owners, right? Because especially when you bring in a AAA rated tenant, they pay high rental rates like Chipotle and others. How do you plan to negotiate the desires to maintain small businesses over these high income producing tenancies?
That's a great question, great observation. I think Francisco, the tenants that you see in any particular project, regardless of what jurisdiction we've been in, are the result of the community process and the feedback that we get from the community in any particular case. So tenants, business ownership, business entrepreneurship development in the community, if that becomes a keystone item for this project, for this community, where there's a majority of local business owners or local startups or second locations or brand new locations, then those businesses will be given the priority. And we've done projects of that nature. We do not have any preconceived notion or concept of what is the right, even if retail is the right use there, and to what extent, whether it's one tenant or 100 tenants. All of you in the process are going to inform that. And what we will be doing is tabulating all of these meetings and coming back to you to say, you said we want a grocer. Well, what does that mean to the community? And we'll bring back examples of different types of grocers. It could be a mercado, it could be a full-fledged, full-service market, it could be whatever. And then the community will respond and say, yeah, when you said mercado, when you said supermercado, when you said grocer, we meant this. And then it is our job to go find that or to build that together with community. But whether the tenants there are, as you described, large tenants or known entities or not, will ultimately be the decision of the community giving us that feedback and then sharing the viability of each of those strategies together.
I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. It reminds me of a question that came up earlier last month at Crime Store team, which is, there was a lot of, this RFP was different than most RFPs published by the county. This one, because of their partnership with HICP, Cali's leadership, supervisors, vision, a lot of emphasis on giving you some background on those community benefits, opportunities, community priorities that the community had uplifted. How did your team receive that information? And I mean, it doesn't have to be a comprehensive response, but just your experience with that RFP and then where you maybe would like to start with us as you think about sort of what you know already, right, has been uplifted by the community.
Yeah, thank you for that. Crime Store's history is that we have had community benefits agreements on almost all of our projects since we started. The concept of community benefits is integral to everything that we do, and it's not an obligation. It's the way it should be done. So we are already walking to the table, basically understanding that these projects will be labor componented. They will be union labor. They will be local hire concepts. We will be doing small business incubation if that is what the community wants to see. And all concepts related to wellness, health, mobility, and other CBA concepts is something that we deeply, deeply are passionate about and look forward to exploring with you.
Thank you so much for that. These meetings do go a little longer than most community meetings. As we know, so 8:45 till about 10:30, 10:45. The reason is because we really want to give every project that opportunity to, give us slices and opportunities for check-ins. But those are sort of, it's within this process of interaction among all the projects. And then, of course, you'll be doing your community engagement, right, as you move forward in your process. And so we would like to continue to support you in, thinking through how to do that work and the balance, right? For community, I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be navigating how much development is happening around us. And I think that's why if you hear, sensitivities from our community about how do we really engage, right? It's really about just the history that our community has experienced with gentrification, with so much development, right? Hopefully with that also will come opportunity, but it has been a long road for our community, right? Over the past decade. And so it's just something that, that will, like community's voice is so important to us. We want to hear from them authentically and continue to have that positive opportunity to exchange. So thank you for, sharing how much commitment you've had to community benefits. We appreciate that. And Wakaz, I see your hand up. Good morning.
Good morning, HICP, Rosa, everyone. Just wanted to say a few words here on behalf of Supervisor. Happy New Year to all. For those of you who were able to join us last meeting of the year, December 19, a big thank you to you. Thank you to our Centennial partners, Arturo and Leandro. We're very excited to start this journey. I've been listening in and very heartened to see that the value of community first is also your approach, and we have come a long way and we have long ways to go, and I'm looking forward to a robust partnership and carrying this vision forward, shaping it further with all of you. On behalf of Supervisor, I just want to say a big thank you to all. That's all. Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you so much, Wakaz, and thank you for the leadership of our supervisor, the Board of Supervisors, and all of your team, because I know, again, huge commitment, right? What we've signed up for here, and just appreciating that. You lead that charge, Supervisor leads that charge by always being present and leading in a lot of these spaces. So thank you for your commitment to community. I see Diego's hand up. Good morning, Diego.
Good morning, Rosa. Good morning, group. And thank you so much for this great presentation. Definitely very inspiring. And it's exciting to be at this point in the journey. I just want to offer a quick reflection. Diego Rodriguez from Alma Family Services. We are one of the social services providers in the campus. We offer behavioral health services, wellness resources, and we are part of the Wellness Center. And as you might know, the Wellness Center is a beautiful entity comprised of a number of different partners that are addressing the community needs and looking at community benefits for 10 years now. And before we were able to open the Wellness Center, there was this lengthy planning process where we were able to meet with the teams involved in the development of the center and talk about not just design and aesthetical aspects of the project, but really function, right? And how the needs of the community would be best addressed if the space was responsive to programming that was planning and thinking about housing, thinking about the purpose of the space. Just want to share how excited I was to hear that there's going to be a lot of community input, and just express that we truly look forward to supporting this process as partners, thinking of how the benefit the community can benefit the most from this space and from what the space can become in the near future. So thank you again for the presentation. Exciting and excited for the journey as well.
Thank you so much, Diego. And we have heard from Kelly's team and from Supervisor's team that we will be inviting the Prime Store and Centennial Partners team to visit, hand in hand. So hopefully, we get to meet them soon in person. But thank you for your comments. All right, we are over time, Heather. So I just want to make sure that we are respectful of folks' time. This is for the Prime Store Centennial piece. And then Jason, I see your question, but you said it might be slightly different than the topic.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to, just because I might have to get going right now for another meeting. Sure. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. Happy Friday to you. Thank you to all the presenters. I just wanted to share an additional, just a community resource. I did put a flyer and some information for an event that the city attorney's office will be hosting. It's called the Community Outreach Court. Folks have open misdemeanor matters within the city of Los Angeles. They can come, whether they have a warrant or whatever that criminal matter may be that they're dealing with. They're welcome to come, and there is going to be the public defender on site and city attorneys on site. And the goal is really to help people get on diversion on the spot, and to really come worry free. It's going to be held at the Refresh Spot in Skid Row, and there's additional resources there. Sometimes the DMV's out there assisting with getting copies of IDs out to folks. Sometimes they give out vouchers for people to be able to go to the local DMV and to kind of skip the line to get services needed that they need. We have pharmacy techs that go out over there to provide medical resources and vaccines. But yeah, just wanted to share that. It's every third Thursday of every month. And again, if anyone has any open criminal matters and, they're concerned about them, but, definitely need to get them taken care of, then they're more than welcome to come. And our staff is always going to be there. And so we're just there to help people resolve those matters and to really start moving forward in their life and overcoming those challenges that they may be facing.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate that update, and the information is in the chat. We'll make sure it's also disseminated out to the attendees of this meeting. With that, we're going to pivot into our next segment. We thank again our colleagues and guests from Prime Store. We look forward to continuing this conversation in the months ahead. Thank you so much for your time today. So everyone, we will continue this conversation collectively. With that, I think we're ready to pivot to our final presentation in the Campus Project segment. That is by our colleagues at Century. So Gilbert and Oscar, please go ahead and share with us some of the updates from the Century Restorative Care Village project. Thank you. We're not hearing you, Gilbert. If you might be muted.
Unmute. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Much better, much better.
Much better, okay. And you're able to see my screen, the presentation?
Sure can. We see it bright and clear,
okay.
And you're loud and clear.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity this morning. This presentation is going to be a two-part presentation, and it's going to continue next month. And we're meeting in just a few weeks, given the fact that we're meeting a week late in January. So in just a few weeks, we'll be following up with some additional information. Just want to put that out there that this is kind of an introduction. Did want to take a little bit of an opportunity to review some of what we accomplished over the past year, similar to what HICP will be doing right after this presentation in terms of the broader HICP conversations and activities. My colleague, I'm joined today. So my name is Gilbert Gonzalez. I work with Century Housing. We're a nonprofit developer of affordable housing. We have a very extensive and successful background of developing great resources for communities comprised of affordable housing and comprised of many other community assets. I'm also joined today by my colleague, Paige O'Donnell. She's our Associate Director. And I bring her up just because I'm going to ask her to enter a couple of things in the chat as I give this presentation. So Paige, if you could enter into the chat a link to our website, just so folks who are new to this project are able to take a look at that and get a better sense of our organization. So this is on your screen is the Century Restorative Care Village PSH project. I've listed out here all the different components of this project. It's currently a vacant site right at the corner of Griffin and Mission. It's right across the street from the medical center campus, and our goal is to transition that into all of these resources for the community: 296 apartment homes, extensive landscaped outdoor space, much of which will be open and accessible to the public, prominent opportunities for art and some exciting transportation safety improvements revolved around improving safety for pedestrians and bicyclists, and then also creating a an accessible point of pickup and drop off for people that whether it's a ride share or through friends and family or through shuttles are being dropped off either for experiences and services at our site, which you see here on your screen, or for services across the street at the medical center campus, which again may, given the drop-off area that we're proposing, which you can see, if you're able to see my cursor, you can see East Lake Avenue is what we're proposing as a pickup and drop-off area. This location just may be the most convenient for folks accessing services in some areas of the medical center campus. All right, so let me move on. Just a little bit of a review of things we've accomplished in the past year. So we've given many presentations to this HICP group, all of which are recorded and available on the HICP website. We formed a HICP subcommittee specific to discuss different aspects of this project, and we've had a series of meetings on design, on community engagement, and most recently on our community benefits agreement, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a little bit. And we've also done a few or a couple in the community neighborhood tours with some of those HICP community members, revolving around design and revolving around the concept of radical hospitality, which we've talked about before. We've had some great accomplishments. We have completed our early last year. We completed our community engagement plan, available in English and Spanish. We created our project website. Paige, if you could also put in the link the web address for our project website. Again, also in English and Spanish. It's ready for an update. We've had some updates in recent months, so we'll be updating that in the coming weeks. We've had a couple of in-person community meetings back in May. One of them was held at the County General Medical Center campus, and we were able to get some great feedback, in particular about the project design. This is how we took some of that feedback and then kind of translated it into different data and different direction about how to improve our design. And then we were able to do that throughout the year. We worked with our architect to bring more vibrancy to the design, to make it more connected to the surrounding area and surrounding architecture, in particular by incorporating more Art Deco concepts. We increased safety and lighting. We saw that as a big request from the community, and we also were able to increase the amount of space accessible to the public, primarily on the ground floor. And some of that space you can see in some of these images here. So pretty much all the space you see here is publicly accessible space. So you get a sense of the strong resource, that represents for this community, and especially taking over what is a not used vacant site. So we're excited to be part of that transformation there. And as I mentioned, we've done some in the community tours, most recently focused on radical hospitality, which is a long-term project that we've embarked on, so that once we are in operation and are able to lease these homes and there's a community there, that there's a connection to the broader community. So radical hospitality, there's a number of ways to describe it, but one way to think about it is creating avenues and pathways for the residents of Century, RCV, PSH, these 296 households to be able to find opportunities for enrichment, for possibly for work, for meaning and for purpose at different places in the broader community, and then also to create pathways to bring some of those resources into our site. We have a lot of common and community spaces available, and so we'd be looking to have lots of different, again, resources brought in and provide various types of programming. So we did an asset, we created an asset map, and we did an asset tour of the neighborhood recently, and that's, again, something that we're still continuing to work on. We're now currently focused on community benefits agreements. So we have created a package of community benefits, and we have provided that to. We've provided that.
All right.
To.
Sorry about that, Gilbert. Oops, now you're muted. Uh-oh. We're going back and forth.
Okay, got a little bit of background there. Okay, so now we're focused on our community benefits agreement. We've looked to align it with the HICP and their focus areas. We used the Las Dalias community benefits agreement as a template since it was so well done. And they also followed the alignment of HICP in terms of framing it in these different areas of community well-being. We've had discussions with Supervisor Solis's office, who's been a key partner on this project over the past year, Guadalupe and Mocas. We have also had the chance to present it to HICP leadership, including Rosa and Heather, and we've also had a chance to discuss it with our HICP subcommittee just a couple of weeks ago. And from there, we've gotten some additional thoughts and ideas about ways to enhance our community benefits agreement. The next step is to present it to the broader community. So we're planning for a in-person community workshop. I'll talk a little bit more about that workshop in just a bit. It's going to come up at the end of the month. I'll wait to give you the details until the next slide, because the details are on the next slide, but just saying now that that's the next part of our community engagement around the CBA. And then finally, just like with Las Dalias, this community benefits agreement will become part of our broader development agreement that we're going to have with the County of Los Angeles. It will be approved by the Board of Supervisors, and this, the community benefits agreement serves as an attachment or an appendix to our broader development agreement with the county. In terms of our in-person community workshop, so it will be Tuesday, January 30th. It will be in the evening. It will be perhaps from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It will be a couple hours long. Based on our experiences in May with our previous in-person workshops, we saw that a station concept with a few different stations and sort of like an open house format. So people can show up at different points in that 2-hour period, and they can engage in these different stations in a way that makes sense for them. At each of these stations will be representatives from Century, from our architect, from our other development team partners, to be able to engage the community in talking specifically about these topics. And the stations, the topics that we'll be focused on at our in-person community meeting will be our community benefits agreement, will be, and then we want to hone in on a couple of specific parts of our community benefits agreement. One of those being public art opportunities, some of which you can see, these very large mural spaces, very prominently placed mural spaces. This image, since it's pulled back so much, doesn't give a sense of just how prominent these opportunities are. But just to give a sense, the one here is 3 stories, 30 feet tall, and then the one over here is a little narrower, but it's taller at 5 stories. So great opportunities, you know, when we want to hear about ideas for this art, and we want to hear about ideas for the process to work with the community to determine, you know, what exactly, how and what exactly goes into to these particular spaces. So we, unfortunately, I was hoping that we'd have the location determined. We're working on that, and it's likely that in a couple hours it will be confirmed. But until then, I don't want to mention the space. But it will be at a location in Boyle Heights, since we weren't able to. Since our previous two meetings were in Lincoln Heights and then one at the County General, we wanted to make sure that this meeting took place in Boyle Heights, since it's a key neighborhood and community adjacent to this project. And this should say community survey. We'll also have a community survey focused again on radical hospitality, trying to identify those resources out in the community, so that when we're in operation, we're able to then activate those partnerships and those relationships, and be able to have that resource to enrich our residents with. I'll leave it there. I mentioned that this was a two-part meeting. The next part is talking about the community benefits agreement, and I won't get into that because it's a lot, and I'll save that for next meeting, and probably ask for a little bit more time to go over that, and then to go over the various feedback that we received back on, you know, on the community benefits agreement. In the meantime, if anybody is interested, we do have a draft of that. We have a draft in English and Spanish, and we've provided it to our subcommittee members. We have about 20 members on our subcommittee. But if you're not on our subcommittee, which was formed in early 2023, and you would like to see the community benefits agreement, the draft, and provide any comments that you want, just leave your name in the chat, and I will provide that. And perhaps we could also provide it as a resource to Heather and Rosa, so you can link it on the HICP website, because I know you put the recordings up usually by midweek of the following week. So that's another opportunity there. So I'll leave it there and see if we have any questions.
Great idea, Gilbert. Absolutely, we will put those up. I just wanted to recognize you and your effort, Gilbert, to always making sure that the PowerPoints and presentations that you bring to the table have that very detailed overview of the work that's being done, and the connection to community. So just really appreciating that. I know there's a lot on your plates, and you know, this is one part of it, but thank you for the commitment that you take to ensuring that community has this type of information at their fingertips, and to also have it so well explained in the PowerPoint gives another tool, right, available for community when we publish it.
Yeah, really appreciate that. And thank you for pushing us to do that and holding us accountable. Thank you also to Guadalupe with Supervisor Solis's office for also always encouraging us to do that, and making sure that we are, you know, giving the proper prioritization and focus on that engagement with the community. So definitely thank you. I did see one question in the box, and now it was about, okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's how do you maximize green space in this development to combat urban heat island effect? Yes.
Sure. Yeah, so that, since that question came up, let me just head over to our environmental justice section really quick. Sorry if this is a little disorienting as I scroll through this. Yes, you know, I think one of the strongest aspects of our project is just how much open space and how much landscaped and space and plants and trees. When I say landscape space, let me go to some images here actually. Sorry again for the scrolling through this. Let me bring up some of these images of our, there we go, with the pictures in play. It takes a little while for this. Okay, there we go. So, and there's another slide that we've presented before that shows just how much of the footprint is left open for open space. Sorry, this is because of the images in this, the transition from slide to slide is very slow. Let me just go here and let me just show this slide here from current slide. Okay, here we go. All right. Yes, and I don't have the details of all of the different square footages and amount of landscaping both in terms of plants and trees, but also in terms of physical landscaping, you know, opportunities for folks to sit, to engage. But we've really invested a lot in that aspect of this project, and we think that's actually one of the strongest areas that, you know, that this project will serve as a resource for the broader community. Again, all of this space is accessible to the community on the ground floor. This area right here is essentially, it's a little bit off screen, but that is the main entrance, the main corner of Griffin and Mission. And, you know, we purposely designed it to be very accessible, to be usable in different ways. For instance, you know, these seating areas here that you see, these kind of yellow circular benches, these are actually movable. They're sturdy, so they're not movable by a person necessarily, but they're not meant to be. They're meant to be movable though by you know, with the appropriate machine, so that we could, if we needed to use the space for ceremonies or for a farmer's market or a vendor space, we would have the opportunity to do that. And so so yes, as part of our focus, we've definitely you know, focused on bringing a lot more green and a lot more opportunity for the community to engage with that green and be able to experience it and enjoy it. And then I see another thing about loving all the trees. Their value increases exponentially as their canopy grows and provides shade and air pollution filtration. Yes. And that is the idea. And if I was a little more knowledgeable and an expert in that, I'd be able to talk about it a little better than I am now. But I just know that we've really emphasized that, and I think we've really done a lot to make sure that that's a strong element of this project. So I'm glad that somebody who is more of an expert also sees that. And then there was another question about if you're looking for a location to host a meeting, feel free to reach out to me. Okay, I will. We'll take you up on that. Again, we do have a location in mind, and we think it's a really good location, but we just needed to confirm with the organization today. But if that falls through, then I will reach out. Oh, and I see Brenda's with YMCA. That would be another strong place to hold that. So I'll reach out either way to let you know. But thank you again for putting that out there. And I'll leave it there and see if there were any additional questions. Okay. And again, we'll be back next month in just a few weeks, and we'll present the fuller picture of our CBA.
Yes, thanks so much, Gilbert. We're excited to continue the dialogue, and it's just lovely to see the evolution of the work in collaboration with the community priorities and perspectives. So thank you so much for continuing to be present with us, and we're excited to have you continue the conversation at the February meeting, which will be held February 1st. So as you mentioned, just a few weeks away. All right. With that, we're moving into our final segment of today's HICP meeting. Our conversations, as we anticipated, ran a little bit long today. It's no surprise. So we wanted to just very briefly kind of recap some of the highlights of our history of HICP that's brought us to this moment. And then, of course, looking forward into 2024. This is our first of 12 planned meetings for the year. We definitely want to make sure that these meetings are of high value to everyone who joins us regularly, that we foster the conversations here that really impact and improve the lives of our stakeholders in the local communities surrounding the LA General Medical Center. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have a little presentation here for you. And I think Rose is going to lead us through some of reflections and vision of where we've been and where we hope to go in the year ahead. Rosa.
Yes, thank you so very much, everyone, for hanging in there. I know there's a lot of information, and this is a presentation we wanted to do in December, but it's something that, you know, us is about recognizing your work and your leadership and your commitment to ensuring that the Health Innovation Community Partnership space is relevant and you know, a place where you want to spend your time. So thank you so very much. Heather, do you have the stat on how many meetings we've hosted? Is it 70 plus?
Yeah, we are at our 72nd meeting today.
So congratulations, Health Innovation Community Partnership, 72 meetings strong. I have heard from a few of you that we'd like to start to have some in-person meetings. I know because the meetings are long, sometimes it is helpful to be able to do these via Zoom so that you can pivot to another meeting, you know, without having to navigate parking and, you know, some of the challenges of in-person. But I know it's also helpful to see each other and to spend time and to break bread. So we will be working on hosting that very, very soon. That next in-person meeting very, very soon. Probably March, Heather, or February.
I think we were thinking March for our March meeting.
Yep. Well, thank you, everyone, again. All right, let's go to the next slide, Heather. So our health innovation launched in 2017 and led by our supervisor, Hilda Solis and Sheila Kuehl. This opportunity came via motion to establish an opportunity for shared vision and goals and metrics for success as a collaborative. And it was meant to be, again, a bit less formal space so that we could all work together to develop some of those larger themes and priorities that the community is bringing up in the intersection of much of the development work that's happening in this area. And for those of you who were with us then, you might be able to recall that it was really the voice of a number of the organizations that are founding members of Health Innovation Community Partnership that went to supervisor to say, there's so much development happening in our backyard. We need to know what's happening. We need to have a place at the table. We need to be able to grow. And over the past two meetings in particular, I mean, I think this happens often, but the two meetings in particular, I have felt such an incredible pride. I think with a lot of you that we have stayed true to this original motion and this opportunity and are now really able to reflect the outcome of all of that dedicated effort. So please always visit our website at Health Innovation Community Partnership LA.org. It has all of our history and documents that are needed as we move forward in the new visioning. And having PrimeStar introduce themselves today and really give that first opportunity for us to see who the partnership has at the table for the engagement of the exclusive negotiating agreement here on our campus. You know, we are just so thrilled by this opportunity and to be able to say, again, thank you to all of you. Next slide. All right, so the backbone of our Health Innovation Community Partnership is our Medical Center Foundation. Currently still LEC USC, but as we've changed our name to LA General, our foundation will be changing its name over the next few months, and we will make you aware of that as soon as it does come online. The opportunity, next slide, perfect. The opportunity for us as a foundation backbone is to ensure that there is always an intersection of the clinical and sort of service delivery opportunities that are happening on our campus and run through the foundation, as well as the opportunity to intersect with the future, right? Thinking in opportunity of our development projects. And so we're excited that the Restorative Care Village now has so much life in it, and it continues to be an opportunity for us to reimagine the future of healthcare and the future of healthcare and community intersection working together. Next slide. Our community engagement successes, as have been mentioned, have been many, but in particular, at the heart is really the voice and opportunity for community. These pictures are from some of our engagement work with community in 2019. And so we know that this is something that our community really, really values, and we'll be doing more of these in this coming year. Also gives us that opportunity, though, to work with our developers as they're asking for feedback to particular components of their work, and be able to share with all of you what those opportunities are, so that we can maybe work together to ensure that there is always strong community representation in each of those community engagement opportunities. Some of our successes of that work, of course, we know have been the restorative care village design and building procurement. Those beautiful buildings of the restorative care village now, with more than a year under their belt, are just incredible. And the fact that, for example, our recuperative care center has almost maximum capacity for supporting those that are healing outside of, once they're discharged from the hospital and don't have any other place to go to continue to heal. This morning, I was looking for some background materials and saw that there is an actual statistic of something like $300,000 to $400,000. I'm sorry, $300 to $400 a day for a person in recuperative care versus what it would take for someone to continue to recoup in a hospital, which is upwards of thousands of dollars. So it really is an opportunity for us to think about how best to care for our most vulnerable, and be able to find ways to keep that cost low, but also align the services to what is needed. Our general hospital feasibility study really had a lot of changes as a result of the engagement of our community. Our child care center, reflects a lot of this. The permanent supportive housing and the work that we've been doing with Century is really incredibly, I think, emblematic of what we hope, can continue here in every project as well as others across the county. And then as we think about just our impact into community, right? Our partnership with Third and Dangler, our partnership with, the community that surrounds them with their community art in the Pocket Park. Again, a lot of these things would not have happened if it hadn't been for the commitment of you all participating. And finally, the local and target hire being a part of this work as well. Next slide. So these priority areas of focus, for us, it was so important to have something to begin our engagement with developers and with the county. And because of your input, we were able to present this priority wheel and areas of focus for our health innovation community partnership, and asking every project partner to ensure that their development would be seen through that lens. And so what we've accomplished is, the county also making that huge commitment for the future around modifications and adoption of the community benefits for economic development projects. Again, huge undertaking for the county to have committed that community benefits needs to be in every large development. And so we are so excited about that. The opportunity zones and ensuring that there are strategies for social impact, really thinking about how to best bring investment into a community that takes into account the needs of our community. Our local and target worker hire policies, again, we've seen some of the best percentages in county projects come from this campus. And so really excited about that. The feasibility of repurposing our general hospital building for housing and mixed use purposes. Again, we're now here, right, where we have incredible partners that are thinking about, how to engage your partnership, how to engage us at this table as they begin to imagine their exclusive negotiating agreement. So we're really excited that there have been very palpable successes to the work. And again, thank you for your commitment. And so in reimagining our LA General campus, the biggest opportunity is going to be, if we go to the next slide, Heather, is the work with Century House. I'm sorry. Well, yes, the work with Century Housing for sure, but the work with Centennial Partners, which is, really thinking about these community priorities, which I mentioned in the earlier segment, right? Really focus on building housing that serves the needs of our current community residents and addresses gaps in the available housing mix across the range of affordable levels, including and in particular a priority to extremely and deeply affordable housing. That housing is really at the center of this, and that as we think about the housing that is coming online with the recuperative care for the temporary housing plus the permanent supportive housing of Century, we're really looking at the dynamic that occurs when you're working on an entire campus environment. And so in addition, I think increasing commercial space opportunities and opportunities for us to really bring in services that are most needed to our community. We're so excited about working together and continuing to ensure that the community priorities aren't just this list, but are really really an introduction to a topic area where you all can then give color and light and opportunity and detail, right, as we engage our development partners. And that's true for our next slide, Heather, which continues this priority list to ensure that we have those local retailers, similar to what our team from Prime Store shared, right? That when we're talking about services or high need grocer, right, that it's reflective of the type of environment that we're looking for in our community, and that it's not dictated by any one entity that may have a contact or an idea, right, that they want to bring to fruition, but that it's really a partnership with all of you. Increasing parking in transit. We know how hard it is to get to our campus. We are not blind to that. And I think it's always something that is continually brought up, right, as we think about, having so much housing and opportunity, right, in a densely urban area, how it is that we manage around that. And so we'll be getting more updates on our transportation opportunities in the next few months. But really, providing this complete plan to ensure that we are looking at the benefits of these projects, not only to those that we're inviting in, but also to the community that we are trying to work with and to mitigate any of the negative impacts that this project will bring. Traffic congestion, the challenges, and to be able to really imagine the positives, right? The pipeline of programs and living wages that can help improve the work that we do. And Kelly and I reflected yesterday in preparation for this meeting that is a huge emphasis of the Department of Economic Opportunity. And so to have them at the helm of this development partnership really makes it so that we are always thinking about our community first and not just the development work itself. Next slide. Other equitable development processes that we've supported includes the LEADS requirements, the local target hire, the business enterprise goals, the workforce agreement for capital construction and opportunity, and the prevailing wage requirements. This all to me, just really points to the fact that we have a partnership with the county where we're trying to create an environment that is equitable for everyone, and that we're ensuring that we are reflecting not just in the particular projects, but in the way the county does business, right? The priority toward community first. So I'm very excited that we've been able to work together on these priorities. And Heather, is this our last slide for this? Yes. So for us, I think what's important about just reflecting on the importance of the work is to ensure, one, that we're still on the right path, but also to uplift for our conversations with all of you, like where it is that we can continue to ensure that there's dynamic space in the Health Innovation Community Partnership. So please raise your hand if you have any questions or recommendations in terms of priorities that you want us to touch in our 2024 HICP meeting list. You can also share with us offline. We're always excited to engage you, in between meetings. And so the opportunity for us to work together to ensure that the agendas are built by you and with you. And that reminds me, we also have a co-design team that I want to thank, because on top of the 71 meetings, there's also an extra meeting that this team or two attend monthly. And so we want to ensure that just how much effort is spent on really crafting the agendas and the types of presentations that are brought to the table here. So I know we're almost at time, Heather, and I don't see any hands up. So I know as a last piece to this segment, and we're almost done here, guys, is the member survey questions. This is a participation and representation questionnaire. And so we're asking, what are some of the individual organizations and groups that should be more engaged in HICP? And how can we engage more resident leaders in this work, right? Because this is very important space, and we want to make sure that we're always working together with you to identify how to bring in new partners. Francisco, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, this last slide is exactly encapsulates what I've been thinking is, how do we get more voices? How do we get like a community asset survey, or not a community asset, but more like a community concern survey? Because, for example, Inner City Law is right there in Skid Row. They're the closest nonprofit legal services provider. But outside of a few programs, I don't know how engaged they are in the East Side. I know NLS is right in the wellness center, but I never really heard of foot traffic going in and out. So finding out what needs the community has somehow, and then bringing in some of these providers to see how we can engage them is kind of like the direction I want to go in, but I don't know how to kind of go about it.
Thanks, Francisco. Those are great thoughts. And yes, we will be thinking about how to engage. Like, I'm wondering if there's a 2 or 3 slide segment that we could send out to partners, like, someone at a partner organization, and say, hey, would you guys like to join this group? Let me, here's an attachment. So it's not just a flyer, but it's something that kind of gives a little bit of detail on the organization. And then we could also invite some of you that have been in subcommittee opportunities, help us maybe agree to do 1 or 2 meetings with partner organizations where we can check in and invite them in. I think it would be very, very productive. The last of that to me is also, there's a lot of membership meetings that occur for the organizations that are at this table. For example, Eastside Leads has a community at large group that they work with every month. We could attend those meetings, right, for partner membership at large meetings, and be able to, just go to their space and present on our HICP and what the opportunities are going forward into 2024.
Thanks.
And I'll follow up with you on the organizations you mentioned. Anyone else? So we are upwards of 50 strong at most of the meetings that we have, mostly closer to the 70 or 80 mark for the key meetings. So I know there's a lot of opportunity for us to continue to grow, but I also know that there's a healthy participation level now. So if you have a friend, a colleague that you think would really benefit from these meetings, send them a text, send them an email, let them know that we are here to engage with them, and not just for them to attend our meeting, but to engage with us, right, in these spaces and opportunities. So our next meeting is February 1st at 8:45. And as Heather mentioned, this will be a Zoom meeting, but then the March meeting, we're hoping to be able to invite you in to our space again to be able to meet with us in person. We're going to try to figure out how to do a hybrid meeting for those of you who really can't make it, but we really highly encourage you to plan for March, coming in person and breaking bread with us and having a little bit of opportunity to get to know each other. So excited. It's also the 10th anniversary of the Wellness Center. So save the date. Heather, what's the date of our anniversary?
It is the 23rd, I believe. Yes, Saturday, March 23rd.
So Saturday, March 23rd, we will have a big pachanga. So please come and join us, be a part of the 10th year celebration of the Wellness Center. All right. Well, Heather, I think we are at past time for sure. And if we don't have any questions, then we can definitely close the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for attending today's January HICP meeting. Delightful to reconnect with you after the new year. We're looking forward to an incredible series of meetings, presentations, conversations, and engagement in the year ahead. And we invite you to join us every month. As Rosa mentioned, the next meeting will be the 1st of February. So thank you again for your time today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful weekend. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebrations on Monday, and we'll see you all on February 1st.
Thank you.